Yeah, let's get Nigel in. Nigel, first things first, the markets, equities are rallying. The rupee is rallying in a big way as well on expected lines, given the announcement of the trade deal last night.
Well, that's right, Zaka. How things changed, right, in a matter of around 48 hours or so. On Sunday, when the finance minister went ahead and announced that STT hike, the markets got spooked and we saw a sharp correction on the Nifty to around 24,600. But all of a sudden, Monday turned out to be a very, very good day because the markets rallied yesterday. And late last night, I was looking at your show, and in fact, the clarification came in that the tariff effectively is coming down from around 50% to around 18%. And the street really liked it. I'll tell you what, this market moves on sentiment. If you put it into numbers, India and the United States not getting a trade deal would not be a very large hit to our GDP number. The problem is sentiment. In the last 9 to around 10 months, India thought numerous times we're going to be getting a trade deal. And the market watchers were waiting by. Suddenly, as they started losing hope, we did see that deal that take place. So that's why it's got the bears or those that are short on the market actually off track. A couple of data points in the last 1 year, India has underperformed the globe. India has underperformed both in currency as well as in equity market terms. And now what we have seen is appreciation in the Indian rupee, which is good because the rupee moved very, very swiftly from around 88.5 to around 92. When the currency depreciates, you can't be hoping for foreign investors to put in money because via the move in the currency itself, they'll be making losses. Now, there is stability in the rupee and there is a pullback in the rupee. So it makes things even more attractive for the foreigners to come back into the Indian markets. Remember, their holding in the Indian markets is the lowest we've seen in the last 15 years. And today, there's a good rally that we have seen. But I would like the Nifty to end somewhere in this vicinity. We started off with a gain of around 1,200 points. We're still holding with a gain of close to around 1,200, around 700 points. But you wouldn't want us to slip from here on. The point you made on the rupee, that's very, very important. That's pulled back closer around 1% or thereabouts, and that's holding as well. So the sectors actually that are doing well are those that got hit when the tariff went up. Whether you look at textiles, stocks like Gokuldas, you have Welspun, they all got hit very, very hard when the tariff went up. Now, these stocks are locked in 15 to around 20%. They have moved up. The other sector that's doing well is chemical space. Something like the Narthi Industries. That stock, in fact, is up close to around 12 to around 15%. Apar Industries, they are into cables and various other products. They as well are doing well. So select sections of the market that actually got hit, they're up anything between 10, 15 to around 20%. So sentiment has turned on a dime. In the matter of around 48 hours, now the street is celebrating that India has actually got a deal with the United States. And the STT hit, it's really a hit on the transaction cost. And that's why that was a bit of a sentiment dampener. But for the time being, that news as well is digested. And the stock you'll be looking at is BSE, a stock that got hit close to around 10% in the last few trading sessions. I'll tell you what, the stock is trading above the levels that we saw on Sunday, clearly telling you that the market now is looking ahead. We need the FIs to come back, and the FIs have been net short on the market, which gives you that additional reason for the markets to pop up. But Zaka, I'm going to be tracking the next couple of hours of trade, and at around 3:30 p.m. when the markets close, you'll want the markets to end with hefty gains. So the FI is coming back, domestic participation as well, getting some confidence. Well, things are looking up for our markets. And hopefully, in 2026, we actually outperform after underperforming in 2025. India underperformed all emerging markets and the global markets as well. Any other questions, I could take it.
All right. Thanks for that, Nigel. That's a comprehensive sort of overview of what's been happening in the markets. Both the Sensex and the Nifty close to 3% up, and we hope that it ends that way. Thank you, Nigel from CNBC TV 18. I want to get a quick word in from Professor Babonis as well on this whole thing about agriculture, which of course is a sensitive topic both in the US as well as here in India. Agriculture Secretary Rollins's tweet seems to have become a political lightning rod. What does it mean for Trump's MAGA base? We don't know the details of what is it that India has agreed to buy in terms of agri-produce from the US, but why is this so important for Trump and his MAGA base?
Look, Agriculture Secretary Bruce Rollins is talking about exports of seed oils. Now, the U.S. is a major exporter of seed oils, and many U.S. farmers produce food specifically to go into oils, whether that's soybean oil or, in the case of cotton seed oil. And India is a net importer of seed oils. So whether India should be importing seed oils or not is a matter for Indian agricultural policy. But the fact is that today India is doing so. Now, Donald Trump prefers to do these direct deals where he can tell a U.S. farmer we've signed an agreement with a government that the government will direct imports of a certain amount of a particular product. And I don't know what the mechanisms are on the Indian side for making that happen. But really what this will mean is that U.S. seed oils replace Brazilian or Argentine seed oils in the Indian market, where all those South American seed oils go to some other market as a result. That is, international trade is highly flexible. This will appear as a win to U.S. farmers, but it probably won't make much of a difference in India to the Indian farmer who's not producing enough seed oils in the first place.
All right, Professor Babonis, thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts and perspective. I also want to go across to Parikshit Luthra, who's joining us live from CNBC TV 18. Again, there's been a big ruckus in Parliament around what is it that India has agreed to, what is it that India is buying in terms of agricultural produce, etc. By when do we get the details, Parikshit, as to what has been agreed to? Because Trump's Truth Social post last night said India is going to buy a whole lot of stuff, $500 billion worth of Buy American, including agricultural produce, coal, petroleum, etc. But when do we get the nitty-gritties as to what is it that India has agreed to?
Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is in Mumbai currently. He will be reaching Delhi very soon. This is what our sources in the government tell us, Zaka. He is going to be making a statement on the floor of the House on the India-US trade deal. Now, why is this important? Because the session is taking place, the Parliament is on, so government has to make some sort of statement on the trade deal. They cannot make a statement outside. Following that, we are going to see a press release from the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of External Affairs. But right now, this is an in-principle agreement between the two sides to reduce tariffs. The US has said the 50% tariff comes down to 18, and tariffs in India for US goods will be down to 0. Both sides will now have to exchange documents. In fact, sources in the White House have told CNBC TV 18 that documentation will have to be exchanged in the next few days. We're also expecting some sort of signing to take place in the coming days to formalize what has been actually agreed upon. So the US will have to notify the changes. The Indian side will also have to notify the changes, and only then will the exporters from both sides and importers be able to enjoy the benefits of the reduced tariff. Now, this is only the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement. We don't have an agreement on services yet. That negotiation has also not begun. A larger BTA is also likely to be signed, but that's sometime in future. For the moment, the Indian government may also look at a possible meeting with Donald Trump at upcoming international events where they could possibly set the tone for higher negotiations of this trade agreement. Now, Donald Trump has said that India has agreed to buy more than $500 billion worth of energy, of electronic goods and agri-products as well. Now, this is not exactly part of the trade agreement. We've been told by sources that these are broader commitments that India may have over the next few years. We will definitely source more American products. This includes defense in a big way, but you cannot say that this is part of the trade deal text. So let's see what has been agreed upon. As far as Russian oil is concerned, Trump has said that India will stop buying Russian oil. Yeah. Currently, Russian oil purchases have come down over the last 1 year from somewhere like 40% to 20%. That was Russian oil in January was 20% of our crude oil basket. So it's come down significantly. Energy imports from US are up 70% year on year. So possibly we may have given an indication that we will reduce buying Russian oil even further. But is it going to stop completely? Experts say no, we will continue buying Russian oil in some form or the other because the discounts are very significant. Yes, we'll buy Venezuelan oil as well, but remember that's hard crude. There are only certain private refineries in India which can refine it and use it. We will do that. We will buy more from US, but Russian oil will only taper down significantly. You will not shut down the tap immediately.
All right.